Welcome back. You've got your passport, your bags, and your travel-sized toothpaste, ready to see the world. But as an American, your passport comes with baggage. Today, we're counting down 10 countries where the US relationship is, let's say, frosty. This isn't about fear, it's about being a smart, respectful traveler. Ready? Let's dive in. Number 10, Iran. When most people hear the name, they think of headlines, politics, and tension, but there's so much more to this country than what you see on the news. The US and Iran have had a tense relationship since the 1979 revolution and hostage crisis. Decades of sanctions, suspicion, and mistrust have shaped the narrative between the two nations. Officially, anti-American sentiment is everywhere, from government-sponsored murals to the tone of state-run media. The message is loud and clear. As an American, you're often seen as part of the so-called Great Satan. It can feel intimidating, even before you arrive. But here's the twist. Beyond the politics, Iranian people are famously hospitable, and their warmth is legendary. Many travelers are surprised by the genuine curiosity and kindness they encounter. Strangers may invite you for tea or even a home-cooked meal. The key is to separate the government from the people. The average Iranian is eager to share their culture and hear your story. Be discreet, avoid political debates, and respect local customs. A little humility goes a long way here. Dress codes matter, especially for women. Headscarves are required and modest clothing is expected for everyone. Your goal is to experience Iran's breathtaking beauty, from ancient ruins to vibrant bazaars, not to argue politics or challenge local norms. Traveling here is a lesson in nuance, a government that's often hostile, but a population that's welcoming and proud of their heritage. You're not just a tourist, you're a guest, and in many ways, an informal ambassador. Every interaction is a chance to build bridges. Approach with respect, patience, and an open mind, and you'll discover a richer, more meaningful experience than you ever expected. Iran is challenging, but for open-minded travelers, it's profoundly rewarding, a place where every day brings new surprises. Eyes open, mind open, that's how you travel here. Let Iran surprise you, and you'll leave with stories you'll never forget. Number 9. North Korea. This isn't just tension, it's total hostility. The US and North Korea have been adversaries since the Korean War, which technically never ended. For Americans, travel is nearly impossible, illegal without special permission, and extremely dangerous. If you do get in, your every move is monitored by government minders. You see only what they want you to see. Anti-American propaganda is everywhere. Any misstep can have dire consequences. The government's control is absolute. There's no separating people from politics here. The risk of arrest or detention is real and severe. North Korea remains one of the most inaccessible and perilous places for Americans. Curiosity is understandable, but the danger is overwhelming. Number 8. Russia. Once a destination that fascinated travelers with its rich history and vibrant culture, Russia now stands as one of the most challenging places for Americans to visit. The US-Russia relationship is back in a deep freeze, especially after recent events like the invasion of Ukraine. Diplomatic ties have frayed and the atmosphere is tense, with both governments issuing warnings and restrictions. Hostile rhetoric and suspicion are the norm. Russian officials and media often portray the West, and especially the US, as a threat to national security. State media paints the US as an adversary, fueling public distrust and reinforcing a narrative of confrontation. On the street, you might not face open hostility, but the tension is real, especially for Americans. Locals may keep their distance, and you might notice more watchful glances than warm welcomes. The US Embassy warns of harassment and even wrongful detention. Travelers are urged to avoid protests, political gatherings, and to keep a low profile at all times. Russians may be curious about foreigners, but conversations can feel loaded, with people wary of saying the wrong thing or being overheard. People are cautious, sometimes fearful of being seen as unpatriotic. The sense of surveillance is ever present and self-censorship is common. Avoid political discussions and be aware that public spaces may be monitored. Even casual remarks can be misinterpreted, so it's best to steer clear of sensitive topics. Laws can be enforced arbitrarily, especially against foreigners. Routine document checks are common, and minor infractions can escalate quickly. Russia's culture and history are incredible, but right now the ghosts of the Cold War are very much alive, shaping daily life and attitudes toward outsiders. Visiting as an American means navigating suspicion and uncertainty. Every interaction, from customs to casual chats, can feel like walking a tightrope. Stay alert, stay respectful, and know the risks. In today's Russia, caution isn't just wise, it's essential for your safety and peace of mind. Number 7, Venezuela. Once a paradise, now a country in crisis. The US doesn't recognize the Maduro government, and there's no embassy. If you get in trouble, you're on your own. Anti-American rhetoric is strong, blaming the US for economic collapse. The humanitarian crisis is severe, shortages of food, medicine, and rampant crime. Foreigners, especially Americans, are seen as targets for kidnapping and robbery. Some Venezuelans are warm and welcoming, but the risks are extreme. The combination of political hostility, lack of support, and security threats makes travel here dangerous. Venezuela's beauty is undeniable, but for now it's best admired from afar. Number 6, Cuba. This island nation is a place of vibrant culture, striking beauty, and deep contradictions. Just 90 miles from Florida, Cuba feels both incredibly close and impossibly distant, separated not just by water, but by decades of political tension and history. US law prohibits pure tourism. To visit, you must qualify under a special category, such as educational or cultural exchange, and keep detailed records of your activities. This makes travel to Cuba unique compared to other destinations. The Cuban government's anti-US stance is woven into its national identity, blaming the long-standing US embargo for many of the country's economic struggles and shortages. Yet on the streets, you'll find that many Cubans are warm, open, and genuinely curious about visitors, especially Americans. They often want to hear about life in the US and share their own stories. Most Cubans make a clear distinction between the American people and the US government, welcoming personal connections even as political differences persist. American music drifts from radios, US brands appear in shops, and there's a real hunger for cultural exchange and connection despite official restrictions. Navigating Cuba means following not only US law, but also being sensitive to local customs, rules, and the realities of daily life on the island. Economic hardship is a daily reality for many Cubans, and while your presence as a visitor is appreciated, it can also be complicated by the country's unique circumstances. Do your homework, approach with respect, and you'll discover a country full of resilience, creativity, and unforgettable experiences. Cuba's relationship with America is as layered and fascinating as the island itself, a place where history, politics, and humanity are always intertwined. Number 5, Syria, a country devastated by war with the US deeply involved. The Assad government sees America as an enemy. Extremist groups do too. Americans are targets for kidnapping, terrorism, and arbitrary detention. There's no US embassy, and the infrastructure is shattered. The humanitarian crisis is catastrophic. Syria's ancient heritage is overshadowed by immense suffering. Travel here is almost unthinkable. Safety is non-existent. The priority is peace, not tourism. Number 4, Afghanistan. The US war here lasted 20 years, ending with the Taliban's return. The Taliban's stance is deeply anti-American, seeing themselves as victors over a foreign occupier. For Afghans, feelings are mixed: resentment, betrayal, exhaustion. The country is now run by a US-designated terrorist group. Security is volatile. No US diplomatic presence, and the risk of terrorism or detention is high. Afghanistan's beauty and hospitality are legendary, but the political reality is stark. The legacy of war makes travel here extremely dangerous. For Americans, the risks far outweigh the rewards. The path forward is uncertain for everyone. Number 3, Yemen, one of the world's worst humanitarian crises, and the US is deeply implicated. The Houthis, who control much of the country, are virulently anti-American. In their eyes, Americans are citizens of an enemy state. The country is fractured, with armed groups and rampant kidnapping. No US embassy, no support, and a total breakdown of infrastructure. Yemen's culture and history are rich, but the current reality is dire. US involvement has made it exceptionally dangerous for Americans. The risks are extreme. Travel is not advised. Yemen is a stark reminder of how foreign policy shapes real lives. Number 2, Pakistan, not an enemy, but a complicated partner. The US has given billions in aid, but also accused Pakistan of harboring militants. US drone strikes and the Bin Laden raid fueled anti-American sentiment. In cities, you might be welcomed. In rural areas, hostility can be strong. The security situation is volatile, with extremist groups active. Navigating Pakistan requires cultural and political awareness. People may love American culture, but resent US policy. Be discreet, avoid crowds, and stay alert. Pakistan is fascinating and beautiful, but the ground is always shifting. Number 1. China, the defining rivalry of our time. The Chinese government promotes a narrative of American decline and Chinese rise. State media highlights US problems and paints America as a bully. Nationalism and anti-American sentiment are rising, especially online. American apps are blocked. Surveillance is everywhere. Exit bans are a growing risk for foreigners. Visiting China means navigating a parallel digital universe and a tense political climate. Be tech-savvy, discreet, and aware you're part of a bigger game. The US-China relationship will shape the world and your travel experience for years to come. That's our list. 10 countries, 10 complicated relationships. Understanding these dynamics isn't about fear, but about traveling smarter and deeper. If you value this perspective, subscribe and join our community of curious, informed travelers. Stay curious, stay safe, and see you on the next adventure.